Okay, hello everybody. I think I finally have this right. Dominate here, coming at you with the video. Uh, yeah, it's the Monaco Grand Prix. It's the Formula One Monaco Grand Prix. It's one of the oldest races. I mean, this race has been around since it's been around since 1950. That's how old this race is. Uh, yeah, it's been around for a hell of a long time. But this isn't only about the Monaco Grand Prix. This is about this whole season so far. But the main point is the Monaco Grand Prix. Uh, yeah. So far we have got Mercedes. The big point this weekend is Mercedes, and this whole season has been how Mercedes haven't been performing. Uh, yeah. So this whole season, Mercedes have not been performing. They have been. I mean, let's take a look here. The best finish so far is Lewis with the second place position. Now, bear in mind, Lewis Hamilton has not won a race since 2021. He never won any races last year. He was beaten by his partner, by his teammate in the same car. So he has not done well for the last two seasons. And we can't only blame him. We can't. The car hasn't been good. George Russell has been able to do so much with that car, but that car itself has not been good at all. So far this season, Lewis has got to second place, and that's his highest finish. I mean, he's only sitting on 56 points at the moment. 56 points, not a lot, compared to the the person leading, which is Max Verstappen, and the runner-up is Sergio Perez. Max with 119 points and Sergio with 105 points. It's a big difference. But yeah, this weekend they're looking at turning things around. They have brought out a new design, a new chassis, a Toyota chassis. Uh, they have got now. They were trying to move away from having these big side pods, but they've got no choice but to go back to side pods because the aerodynamics now are not working for the car. There's little to no downforce in the rear, which means they can't extract as much out of the car as what they want to. So the big talking point this season, or this weekend specifically, is if the upgrades will work. They were meant to bring the upgrades last season, however, last race. However, because of rain, because of certain things, the race didn't continue, so they couldn't introduce them last weekend. But why this weekend? Why are they bringing it this weekend instead? Well, to answer that question is they simply cannot wait any longer. They have to bring the upgrades this weekend to test them to see if it's going to work. They can't afford to wait any longer. That's why, unfortunately, for this weekend, they've had to bring them. They couldn't keep it for another weekend because they needed this weekend, you know? Sorry about that. Yeah, that's why they've brought this side pod this weekend, this big upgrade this weekend. Now, what does this upgrade do? Well, this upgrade helps distribute the downforce to the rear as well. With the way everything works, the Formula One car, with the wind tunnels and everything, is the aerodynamics. The wind helps with downforce. Downforce stabilizes the car. Lack of downforce, your car is going to be unstable. And that's what the rear was lacking with the Mercedes car. The rear was lacking downforce. And so Lewis Hamilton complained that no, the car is undrivable. Um, yeah, he was not happy with the way the car was. He wasn't happy with the way the car was handling, which is understandable. Coming with rear downforce, it's a big thing. Uh, so with first practice today, at the end of first practice, Lewis Hamilton was in third with a 1 minute 14:35. First place in free practice one was Carlos Sainz with a 1 minute 13.3. That's a big difference. That is a big difference. How's the box monkey? Yeah, car goes through. I know how you do. But yeah, going back on that is a big difference. I mean, 1 second, just under a second. Now, a bunch of you who don't watch Formula One will be thinking, a second, a second. That's such a small amount. But in Formula One, it really is not. 1 second of Formula One is a huge gap. That gap is big. And with it, it's just 1 second in first practice. It's a big jump. So has the upgrades helped? It's too early to tell with free practice one. So we're going to take a look at free practice two. Free practice two, you had Max Verstappen with a 1 minute, 1 minute 12.4 seconds. That's quick. But you go down to the very next Mercedes, which is Lewis Hamilton in 6th position with a 1 minute 12.96. That is a big jump for Mercedes to get closer to the Red Bulls like that. It is an improvement. Do I think they're going to be quicker than the Red Bulls? No. Do I think come Spanish that there's going to be an improvement? Maybe they're competing with Ferrari, maybe Aston Martin a little bit, but the Red Bulls, no. I don't think they're going to come close to the Red Bulls. Maybe come the next upgrade, they will. But yeah, Hitbox Monkey, I was struggling with this. Fortunately now things are going. I found this. Yes, you're watching the correct one. But yeah. So let's go to the next step. Aston Martin. This is a big thing because they have been good. Fernando Alonso has consistently been up there. Out of the 5 races that have happened so far, he's been on the podium for 4 of them. And then once he wasn't on the podium, he finished 4th. 4th behind Charles Leclerc. If there were maybe 1 or 2 laps left of the race, he could have finished on the podium, but he was just not able to catch Charles in Baku. What is the reason for them not being able to catch the Red Bull? It's simple. Speed. Their straight line speed is just not as good as what the Red Bulls are. Red Bull's straight line speed is second to none. You can't touch them with their straight line speed. With the DRS open, where some cars are getting 10 kilometers per hour on the straights, they're gaining 14 to 17 kilometers per hour on the straight. That is massive. That is huge. No wonder they can pull out a second gap within the first 2 laps of a race. The straight line speed is just huge. But Monaco now, the straight line speed doesn't matter. Monaco, the straight line speed, it doesn't matter. Monaco, you want cornering speed. You want to be able to take those corners as quickly as possible. And that's where Aston Martin's going to come off better this season. Or this race, sorry. Because Aston Martin at the moment, taking those corners, their downforce, they are good in the high downforce races. And that's what is required here. Here is required high downforce, so you can take those corners as quickly as possible. And I think that's going to play a big role come Saturday, come tomorrow. It's going to be a big thing with the downforce of the car. And qualifying, if Fernando Alonso can put it on pole, he is going to win the race tomorrow. There's no doubt about that. If he doesn't get on pole, if he gets on P2, maybe he can jump whoever's on P1 in the race. Yeah. It's going to be a big point coming from it's going to be a big thing if Fernando Alonso can get it on the front row of the grid. Do I think he's going to win? Yes, I think Fernando Alonso is going to win the Monaco Grand Prix, which will be good. It might close the title fast a little bit, might, but I don't think so. I really, really don't think so. But yeah, Fernando Alonso is going to. I think this weekend's going to be his weekend. I think he's going to win. I think he's going to be on the top step of that podium. Now we go for the next part, the next point I want to bring up. Saturday, you have beautiful weather. It's dry. On Sunday, however, it's going to be a wet race by the looks of it. We are going to see who will set up for the dry qualifying and who's going to set their car up for the wet race. In my honest opinion, I think many of them will go for the dry of qualifying, purely because if you can get on the front row of the grid tomorrow, you've basically sealed that as a race win. Things could happen. Monaco is difficult to pass on, but it's not impossible. So, could we see someone coming through and overtaking? Yes. It could very well happen. It could very well happen. I mean, if you set your car up for a dry Saturday, the chances of you crashing out on Sunday in the wet weather is a lot higher. You could see many cars crashing out and causing red flags. So there could come a whole lot of strategies could come into play with the red flags. The wet weather racing is going to be interesting on Sunday. It's going to bring a whole lot into play. It's going to be, I'm going to call it, I reckon we're going to get at least one red flag on Sunday. And I think that could be a big game changer. If someone hasn't pit before a red flag, they get a free pit stop during a red flag and they keep that position. So I think come Sunday it's going to be a very interesting race. Come tomorrow it's going to be very interesting. Drivers are pushing themselves on the Saturday. They're pushing their car. And with Monaco, there's very little room for mistakes. Very little room. Any slight slight mistake could be your qualifying done finish. You could be in the wall. You could be in the water. Um, but it's going to be very good on. It's going to be a very good race on Sunday. I think it's going to be a very interesting race on Sunday. Very, very interesting race on Sunday. It's not as exciting as other races, but it's still exciting. Monaco is a historic race, and I do believe we're going to be in for some good racing. Let's talk about the Red Bull title fight. Max Verstappen currently sitting on 119 points. Sergio Perez sitting on 105. It's close between the two. It is close. One in the DNF during the race and the other comes first. Could be the meaning of winning and losing the title. Right now, Max is sitting on 5 podiums, with 3 of those being wins, and the other being a second, or with the other 2 being a second. Sergio Perez has got 4 podiums, 2 of those being wins, 2 of those being second places. But you can't leave out the fact that in Australia, he started from the pit lane, and he managed to finish 5th in that race. It's a huge. He gained huge ground there in the Australian Grand Prix. Huge ground. There's no doubt about that. So I think the title fight is not over. It's only race 5. Well, there's only been 5 races. This was meant to be race 7, but it's technically race 6. There's still so much that can happen. I really think it's going to come down to the wire. Unless Max wins the next 5 races, which I doubt that's going to happen. And if that doesn't happen, this season's going to come down to the wire. It's going to come close. Yeah. I don't see much happening anywhere else. I don't see Mercedes catching up. I do not see Ferrari catching up. Maybe Aston Martin might pull something out of their hat and start winning races, but I don't see that happening. Not when Max Verstappen is nearly a minute ahead of the next car behind. Yeah, we have got, so let's go over the stats at the moment. So the stats currently sit as Max Verstappen 19 points, podiums 5. He's come out of those podiums, he's come first 3 times and he's come second twice. Third, he hasn't, obviously 5 races and 3 being first, second. He's not finishing off the season. He's very consistent. But you can say the same about Sergio. You can say the same about Fernando. You can say the same about Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda has come out of the 5 races. He's either come 10th or 11th. That's just where he's been. Yeah. Fastest lap, Max has got 2 fastest lap. Pole position, he's got 2. Excuse me, everybody. Sorry about that. Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda is consistent. You could also say the same about Logan and Logan Sargent, Nick DeFries, where they're consistently not scoring points. But Fernando Alonso's also been consistent. Lewis hasn't been too consistent. I mean, the highest finish for Lewis is second. Carlos Sainz, his highest finish is fourth. He's on 44 points. Lewis Hamilton, 56 points. He's only had one podium. Being Australia, he came second in Australia. Other than that, the only shock I've got is Guan Yu Zhou, or Zhou Guan Yu, however you say it. He's got one fastest lap, which was a bit of a shocker. He didn't score a point for that fastest lap because he placed out of the top 10 in that race. But with everyone, there's not much to say about everyone. No one has surprised me. Max Verstappen is on top. He was going to be on top. Sergio Perez is the only one that can say that has surprised me somewhat. He is giving Max a run for his money, which is a good thing. We want that title fight. So far, you got Max at first place with 119 points. Sergio the second place with 105. Fernando third with 75. Look at that gap between Sergio Perez and Fernando Alonso. It's not a small number, it's quite big. Lewis Hamilton, 56 points. Carlos, 44 points. George, 40. Charles, 34. Lance Stroll at 27. Now, this is the big thing. You got Fernando Alonso at 75 and Lance Stroll at 27. I think those stats speak for themselves. But don't get me wrong, Lance Stroll has surprised me this season so far. He has surprised me. I always thought, no, bad driver. You can't drive, shouldn't be there. But he's done fairly well this season so far. I mean, his highest position, I think he's finished there twice. Now is fourth. So Lance Stroll isn't doing too bad. Then you get the McLarens. The McLarens have not done well this season. They got lucky in Australia. Other than that, I think Haas is doing better than them. Lando Norris with 10 points. Where's he? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, Lando's in 9th place with 10 points. I mean, and with those, he finished 6th. So he finished 6th once, and that's where he got those 10 points from. Pierre Gasly sitting at 10th. Yeah, unfortunately, he got really unlucky in Australia where he crashed his car into his teammate Esteban Ocon. Yeah, he just got very unlucky there. Nico Hülkenberg with 6 points. He's sitting 11th at the moment. Nico Hülkenberg, he's done well in the Haas. I mean, you're showing Kevin Magnussen where that Haas should be at. I think Kevin Magnussen really needs to step up his game to be on the same level as Nico Hülkenberg. Esteban Ocon, 6 points as well, below Nico. Then you get Valtteri and Oscar, both with 4 points. Zhou Guan Yu and Yuki Tsunoda and Kevin Magnussen with 2. Alex Albon with 1. And Logan Sargent, Nick De Vries with nothing each. Alex Albon this weekend, I want to talk about that quick. So in free practice 2, where did I see it? I'm not seeing it here. Oh, there. He wasn't going to free practice 2. Free practice 1 though, he pushed that car into 10th place. I think we could see more from Williams a bit later on in the season. However, now they're just not performing. They're just not getting there. And yeah, there's not much to say about Williams. McLaren have touched on them. Haas, they're mediocre. They're doing a lot better than what they have been in previous seasons. But again, they're mediocre. Williams, as I said, could be coming up later, but I don't foresee that happening. McLaren, I don't know where they are this season. I don't know where they were last season. The season before, they were looking promising. The season before, they got a win with Danny Rick. But this season, I don't see anything happening with them. McLaren, I don't know where they disappeared to. Uh, AlphaTauri, where have they gone? AlphaTauri have vanished. Last season they were okay, and then this season they're just nowhere. Yuki Tsunoda's doing wonders for them. But Nick de Vries coming in. I don't know what's happened there. Everyone had high hopes, and he hasn't scored a single point yet. Nick de Vries is last in the championship, behind someone who also hasn't scored points. Then you've got Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo have done well. Alfa Romeo this season, they're not doing well. They're doing a lot better than what they have done in the past. So they're bullied and they're coming up. In 2026, they're becoming Audi. So I think that could be a big game changer. Alpine, Alpine have been good. Alpine they haven't been bad. They haven't been great, but they've been good. Yeah. Sorry, I need to respond to something quick. Yeah, Alpine haven't been bad, but they haven't been great. They've been good. They have been good. And then you've obviously got the top 14 Mercedes. They are coming up. Do I think they're going to get to win this season? No. Then you've got then you have Ferrari. I was expecting more from Ferrari this season, especially after the beginning of last season. They were there, they were pushing, they were getting wins. This season, I don't know where they disappeared to. Then you've got Red Bull, obviously, and Aston Martin. Both teams doing exceptionally well. Aston Martin came out of nowhere this season, and yeah, Aston Martin really came out of nowhere this season. They really stepped up their game, and I don't think anyone can deny that they are doing well. One thing before I leave, I am going to end the stream soon. One thing before I leave is many people are saying they should change the rules, but Toto Wolff has come out and said, why change the rule? Because one team has got it right. One team has got all the regulations spot on. They have done everything right. And they are the fastest team at the moment. It's Red Bull. Toto Wolff has said you can't keep changing the rules because of a team that has got it right. He's obviously speaking for the Mercedes and him. They had it right. But yeah, you can't keep changing a team because you can't keep changing regulations because one team's got it right. And that's true. Every other team needs to play catch up. They need to do their part to catch up. But yeah, so far this race weekend, I think we're going to see a bit closer battling, purely because it is a downforce race, and the yeah, as I said, it's a downforce race. The Red Bulls are not good in the corners. Okay, well, instead of me leaving, why don't we have some questions, right? Let's have some questions. Do we have any questions on anything? Is there questions on anything? Yeah, so give me some questions, guys. I want some questions. So, yeah, my prediction for this race weekend is I do feel like Fernando Alonso is going to win this race. What makes the car go vroom? Calvin, what makes the car go vroom? What makes the car move is I think it's a 1.6 liter V6 hybrid engine in the back. Uh, yeah, fast corners, Red Bulls are quicker, but in the general whole race, uh, Aston Martin, I think, are going to take it. It could even be a close battle with the Ferraris because it's more of a balanced race. But come Spain next weekend, Red Bull are going to take it, no problem. But yeah, Calvin, the thing that makes the car go vroom is the engine at the back, which is a 1.6 V6 hybrid engine. I mean, these cars go well over not well over, but they top out over 400 kilometers an hour. Which I don't think I need to tell you is it's fast. I mean, I'll go 100 k's an hour. That's more or less where I sit at. Obviously, I'll go faster, but 100 k's an hour. Now, just imagine 4 times that speed. Yeah, those cars go freaking fast. Alonso has a chance, but I don't see it happening. I see it happening. I see it happening. They know they're good in this race, but we'll only see in the coming qualifying. See where they stand in the qualifying. Uh, but I see Fernando Alonso winning the race, and if he does, it'll be good. He'll be really, really good. What about George? Where do we see George? Where do we see George Russell? Where do we see him placing? Let's have your thoughts. Let's have your predictions. For qualifying, I'm going to predict, although I haven't seen much of the practice, I'm going to predict Fernando on pole, Carlos P2, and then Max P3. But you never know. Max could pull something out of the hat, and he could be the quickest man tomorrow. No, man. Not George of the Jungle. George Russell. Show us where George see perhaps 8th or 9th. With the new side pods, I think could be controversial. I think George could possibly drop out of the points. I think they could. Hamilton might be happy with the car, but George might not. You see, there might be certain things where it's just not working out. Okay, let's take a look at practice 2 outcomes. No, not there. Let's take a look at practice 2 outcomes. Okay, so practice 2 outcomes. George Russell's the other Mercedes driver. He is Lewis Hamilton's teammate. Let's see, practice 2 outcomes. Max Verstappen up top, leading the front there, and with Charles Leclerc behind and Carlos Sainz behind them. Then you have Fernando Alonso also up there. Splitting the top 4 people is just over 2/10. Just over 2/10. That is close. I mean, if you guys thought a second was quick, and the second isn't long, but the second racing is far. 2/10 is kind of close. Kind of close. But for 2/10 being the difference between the top 4, that is fairly close. Yeah. I don't know why George isn't happy at the moment. It could be because the car is different. Maybe he's not used to it. Maybe coming in next weekend, the Spanish Grand Prix, he might be a bit more used to it. It might be a bit better for him. Uh, but I want to say George Russell in a P2 is 12th. So maybe he can pull something out of the hat for tomorrow. Maybe he'll get used to the car by tomorrow. I don't know. But maybe it's the corners that he's just not too green with. Lewis Hamilton 6th in the last session. What's going to impact the Mercedes now is the wet weather on Sunday. They're not used to that wet weather in this car. I don't think we've had a wet weather race. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we've had a wet weather race yet this season. So this could be the first. I still think Mercedes has just built a car around Hamilton again. I mean, he does do a lot of whining. I might get a lot of hate for that. He might get a lot of whining. So yeah, we'll see. I think the side pods had to be done. I really think they needed to be done. I think that their no side pod vision just wasn't working. It just really wasn't working for them. The car had no rear downforce. It just, yeah, they could not take as much speed into the corners what they would have liked. I think next weekend we'll see the true potential. Do I think it's going to be a second gained a lap? No. I think maybe 2/10, 3/10 tops, but that's it. Yeah. What about McLaren? Where do you see McLaren? Uh, where about do you see McLaren in the next few races? I would love to see them bring some upgrades, maybe do better, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Yeah, not a wet race yet, but they've had practice and I think quali in the rain. Which quali was it in the rain? For some reason, foresee a quali in the rain, but which one that was, I can't say. Bahrain, okay, nothing Bahrain. Australia, maybe? Australia, they may have had a quali in the rain. What was after Australia? Saudi Arabia? Definitely not. I can't think of any one in the rain. Baku, no. Miami. I don't think Miami was in the rain. I know they would have had a practice in the rain. If I can remember correctly, they definitely had a practice in the rain. I think Miami, the practice was in the rain actually, or was a wet circuit. McLaren, they have to bring upgrades. Haas is doing better. Exactly, Haas is doing better. McLaren going from 2021, where they were a good team, they were a strong team. They won a race in 2021. For them to be where they are now, it's madness. It's confusion as to what's actually going on there. Okay, everybody, that's going to be it for this podcast of this stream. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know how I can do better. If you have enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Hit the notification bell so you can see whenever I post, whenever I'm live, what I'm doing. But yeah, I hope you all enjoy it.